Spending a ton of money at a fancy camping and hiking store on freeze-dried meals is cool and hip, but unless you've got too much money laying around, there are other great options. That's especially true if you're car camping. Let's go shopping and see what we can find. Hey everybody, my name's Sean, I'm the Tie-Dyed Wanderer, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I mean really, why spend $10 on a 2-serving freeze-dried meal when for a couple bucks I can get the same thing that takes up not much more space and tastes probably a little bit better. All you need is a little bit of creativity and a little bit of powdered milk. The grocery store has a range of selections that, with a little bit of creativity, can completely substitute the fancy freeze-dried meals found at the sporting goods stores. Using dried pasta packages, dried soups, dried rice and couscous, and adding in prepackaged cooked meats like chicken, tuna, and even jerkies, you can create simple meals that take little effort and they're a fraction of the cost of the freeze-dried meals. So let's start off taking a look at the chicken noodle soup. Now the package says that it's going to be about 204 grams is what this entire package weighs. That's the net weight, so that doesn't include the actual packaging. It might be off a few grams here and there, but it's going to be pretty darn close to that. And for that, you need 8 cups of water. That makes 8 servings according to the package. Realistically, that's actually like 4 servings. That's a lot to bring, especially if it's only 2 people. You're not going to store the rest of the soup. You're not going to sit and eat this whole bag of soup, 8 cups of soup in one sitting. So really, that's not what we want. If you were bringing a couple people along, so let's say me and my daughter were out, I would do half the bag, which is 102 grams of the mix and about 4 cups of water. That's still maybe a little bit heavy. My daughter doesn't eat much, but we'll just pretend that she will. So this would be a great ratio for 2 people, or maybe 3 people. You can kind of divide it up as you want. But I'm going to divide this up into quarter bag servings, which is 51 grams of mix and 2 cups of water. All right, so here we go. We have our chicken noodle mix, and we have a scale, and I have a paper plate, and I'll show you what that's for in a second. So as you can see by this chart, here's kind of where the measurements sit. A full bag, which honestly is only good for really about 4 people. You got to consider that soup is not super filling. It's not really calorie dense. So you're honestly going to end up eating more than 1 cup of soup because that's just not much soup. So I'm basing this, instead of the 8 servings that the package calls for, I'm basing it on that the whole bag will feed 4 people. Now, I'm not 4 people. This is a solo trip. Plus, you can always divvy it up in smaller quantities and then add them together versus having one big quantity and not having a way to really measure this out while you're out camping or in the field where you don't have a scale or don't have a good way to measure. So looking at the scale, you can see that my serving, I need about 50 grams or so. So let's go ahead and open this up and get set up so we can measure. So first thing, put your paper plate on the scale, turn it on. That's going to allow the scale to zero out or tear, and we want to be in grams because I'm measuring this in grams. So here, let me see if I can change this so you can see the thing a little bit better. There we go. So right now you can see that with the paper plate on, we're sitting at 0 grams. That's what we want. Now we want to measure out, and first shake this up really well. We want to measure out 51 grams. And you'll see why we're doing this on a paper plate in just a second. There we go, that's a serving. Grab a small bag, and this is why we use a paper plate. You can take the paper plate, fold it up, fantastic. So we're good. Just mix this up with 2 cups of water and you have 2 cups of soup. Make sure you add in your protein. I'm using large cans of chicken, but you can also use the small packages like this. These are about 80 calories per pouch, whereas a can is about 220. So it depends on how much you want. You can also use 2 of these to get a little bit closer. You can also use a small cans, whatever works for you. If you'd rather not have any chicken in it, you can do that too. So now let's take a look at one of the pasta sides, right? These are fantastic. In my opinion, they're actually better if you have the room and aren't concerned about the weight. They're better than the freeze-dried meals. They're going to give you a little bit more calories, and honestly, I think they taste better. I've had a couple of the freeze-dried meals. I will not say they're bad. I think they're fine. I have no issues with them. If you're really concerned about weight, then absolutely. But this is a really good option, and honestly, they don't weigh that much more. The difference is in the freeze-dried meals, those are going to have the meat already in them, whereas this, you have to add it separately. But I went out and grabbed one of these pasta sides. There's a ton of different flavors, but they all pretty much have the same recipe. But you take that. That says that the package is 1 serving. So if it's a solo trip, then cool, that's for you. Otherwise, honestly, you could divide these up. They're actually pretty calorie heavy. And this would work really well between myself and my daughter, somebody else that doesn't eat a whole lot. The problem with these is it requires 1.5 cups of water. That's a piece of cake. But then it requires half a cup of milk. Now, I want to avoid bringing a cooler, so I'm not going to have milk with me. So my only other option is to use instant milk or powdered milk. I've used this before. I've used it in recipes. I use it in my hot chocolate mix. And this stuff works great. It's a little bit less calories, which is not usually an issue, especially with with this particular recipe or particular package. But that says that a 1/4 cup of powdered milk and 1 cup of water is equal to a cup of milk. Now it'll be skim milk or fat-free milk, but that works. So if you put this whole package and 2 tablespoons, or about 11.5 grams of the powdered milk together, remember, a 1/4 cup is 1 cup of milk. This recipe only calls for a 1/2 cup of milk, so we need 1/8 of a cup of milk. 1/8 of a cup is about 2 tablespoons. I prefer to do it by weight, which is 11.5 grams. You mix that up with 2 cups of water because that was your total liquid requirement. And ta-da, you now have pasta. No refrigeration needed. You don't have to have a cooler. You don't have to bring milk. It's a really good alternative. And this is fine by itself. If you just want plain old Alfredo, fantastic. I think the package says that it was somewhere around the 600 calorie mark, which is insane. If you want a little bit more protein, make sure you add a pouch of cooked chicken, or maybe a couple pouches, depending on if it's for you or for a couple people, or just if you want more chicken in your dish. Real quick, something I forgot to do, even though I told you to do it, I didn't actually do this. We need to say how much of what we need on here. So we're going to say 2 cups water, which is what the recipe calls for, right? 1.5 cups of water plus a 1/2 cup of milk. 1/2 cup of milk is already in there. It's just dry. So we need the other 1/2 cup of water. So 2 cups of water on this guy. And these, I also said 2 cups H2O. And I'll mark the rest of them. But now I have individually packaged. I can put these together if I want. Doing it this way, there's always going to be a little bit of variability. Some are going to have a little bit more of the flavor mix in here versus pasta. You could really mix it up really, really well and try and get it a little bit more even. But honestly, you're going to have some variance, and you'll just have to be okay with that. But you just saved yourself a whole bunch of money, because those 2 pouches together maybe cost me $3, $4 maybe, for everything. All right, that's it. I hope you were able to take away the idea that you don't need to spend a fortune on freeze-dried meals if you're just doing car camping trips. Again, I think that for the right reason, the freeze-dried meals are a great product, but it's all about what your specific adventure requires. The other great thing to pre-portioning and using reusable containers is less waste, which is great for our environment and helps us leave nothing behind. Keep your eyes open for the next episode on my Badlands adventure. By the time you see the next episode, I should be actually either doing some live broadcast actually at Badlands or just following up with some of the adventures that I'm doing there. Keep exploring, everybody, and have a great adventure.